everybody. I hope you're all doing well. So, a lot happening in the world, some intense current events, always new current events, hard to keep up with everything. So, I was thinking, what would be the most meaningful support that I could provide? And I don't know that it's healing one specific thing, navigating one specific thing. It's just continuing to offer support to empower each and every one of us to be the best people that we can be right now in this moment in time. And so when we are glowing and shining our brightest, when we are the most at peace, no matter what chaos there is happening in the world, we're powerful. I want to offer that. One thing I'm doing in my own life, I'm just changing up the language inside myself so that there aren't any problems anymore. And that life is an adventure and everything about this adventure is wonderful. So if I hear some bad news, I choose to get excited about it. I'm choosing to say, wow, this is an interesting turn of events. This is the divine time. This is exactly how God would like it to be. And some part of myself would like it to be. And I'm so grateful for this. There aren't any problems here. I'm at peace. I have everything that I could ever want or need right now. And I'm so grateful for that. So if you could think about something in your life that's challenging you, and maybe it's an honest problem that's in your individual life, or it's something about the world today. One thing is, if you define it as worry, it's not going to work. Worry doesn't help at all. So anything that's a worry, immediately just let it go. You have to let your worries go. They aren't helping you come up with a smart solution. They're just weighing you down and making you feel ill, defeated, and helpless. And so worries you got to let go of. But if there's an opportunity to make it better, embrace it and enjoy the challenge of making it better, right? So I just wanted to say those things. I'm going to relax. I'm opening up the door to offering wisdom, healing, guidance, whatever is going to be meaningful, empowering, full of love. All right, I'm going to close my eyes now. Go into the journey state here. And let's see what comes forward for us. Okay. So the scene is like this. It's stiff. It's hard to breathe through. It's like if all you could breathe in the air were splinters. That's how this feels. Like, oh man, this is horrible. If I was breathing in splinters in real life, I think I would probably be dying, right? This scene, I feel like I'm becoming rigid. I'm becoming the very splinters. I'm becoming this inconceivable suffering and I can't get out of it. And I'm not necessarily an animated and flexible human being. I'm stiff and rigid and I'm splintery and it's hard. It's just simply hard. Okay. So the scene is like draw an oval shape and then the outer edges are black. Okay. And then we have this oval shape and we have all this jagged, I guess wood, perhaps. And then there's just colors inside. I don't know, maybe dripping, drooling, sort of liquidy. There's clear, there's white, there's sort of black and white marbly. There's some teal color and some yellow. So that's the first experience. It's what I'm looking at here. So what is this saying? I don't know yet. Okay, and we're going to go back to the conversation. Flexible human being. Breathing in splinters. I'm dying here. Having to become stiff and hardened and rigid and uncomfortable. Okay, so that's what we know. Okay, now I'm entering into a blank phase. A blank phase. It's as weird as, let's say you're a student, you're going to school for your normal school day, and you're going and sitting in class and everything is just timed out. And you're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and trying to make sense of what you're looking at. Something is convincing you that this is normal, but everything inside you is questioning this and saying, no, this is not normal. People aren't moving. People are stuck in place. There's no education here. There's no communication. But the weird part is you're not quite sure. You're actually doubting yourself, and you're doubting reality. But reality is as clear as you could possibly imagine it to be. That's funny. It's as clear as you could imagine it to be. 2 thumbs up. So, sitting at the desk, normal day, and everybody's just like mannequins around the room. And you're like, I think this is normal. Yeah, pretty sure this is normal. I don't think this is normal. Something's not right here. What did I learn today? 8 hours later. I don't know what happened today. That's the next scene. It's just like time and nothing happening in time. And then there's doubt. And reality is as clear as we could imagine it to be. You know what it gets me thinking about? It's like you see right and you see wrong. And there's nothing else to say about that. How do we know what is right and what is wrong? How do we know? Because if we have to say something about it and explain our way through it and talk about it, we're losing our relationship with the instinct within ourselves. So I know how to treat other people kindly. I also know I have to create boundaries and I have to be honest. I also know I need to put in my time and energy into the things that I want to grow in my life. So if I don't want to grow anything in my life, and I don't want to put any time and energy in, then I'm kind of dying inside. So there's just basic rules to living life, you know? And then basic rules to how we treat one another. You don't go up and just punch someone in the face unless you feel like it's the right thing to do because it's the only way to communicate with them and this is the only way you know how to communicate and this is just your thing. Then you're creating something. You're creating a ripple. You're creating an exchange. But you also have to ask yourself, is this the right way? And so in life, there is a sense of the right way and the not right way. And sometimes it takes a little bit of self-control, and sometimes it takes a little bit of courage and strength to stand your ground and keep doing the right thing that you know is the right thing. And so when I see this scene, it gets me thinking about all the information that the world is just pumping out and getting us trying to stand on one side or another and then fight each other. But what about creating a world full of solutions? Actually, solutions, not arguments and debates and fine lines in the sand and more reason to create chaos. Even this morning, I was thinking about all the latest news events and the news events that are still at the forefront of the news, the newest news events that are probably going to linger. So we have like 5 big different things that we have to try to navigate in our heads and be responsible for something that might be completely out of our control and then feel miserable about it because we can't make a difference. And then we wonder what the heck is going on with politics and on and on and on and on. And are our kids safe? And what is the society becoming? And on and on and on and on. And then we're like kids in the classroom trying to make sense and trying to convince ourselves that this is a normal day, but something's not normal about it. And what's not normal about it? Can I acknowledge what's not normal about it? And does it feel like everything in time is just standing still and we're watching it all crumble around us and we can't do anything about it? And we can't make it better? So we have these 2 scenes so far. They're talking about how it feels to be a human being. We're losing the flexibility, becoming stiff and rigid and uncomfortable, inhaling and exhaling to splinters while we slowly decay into what? The student in the classroom wanting to learn, wanting to grow. But what are we offered? Everything is standing still. Where's the actual growth? Yeah, so that's some of the things that come to me about these scenes. Maybe when you think about these scenes, maybe you feel something emotionally about them or something intellectually or something spiritually. And again, it's like that conversation. There's no such thing as problems. Everything is part of the adventure. And so when I say that this is all part of the adventure, losing the flexibility, becoming rigid in the confusing classroom where everything's timed out, trying to explain it and doubt it, you know, it's all the adventure of being human right now in this historical time. You know, we're going to be old people. Maybe we all are, you know, some of us are old people, right? But we're all aging one decade at a time. And we're going to be the old historical memories of what once was. And we're going to be in those shoes and we're going to still be able to share something of our recall. If there's a reason to talk about these times, 2023. What was life like back then? to the younger generations. We can talk about what it meant to us. And we carry the memory. These are historical times. This is the adventure of living. All right, I'm going to relax, see what else comes forward. Everything's paused. Okay. I'm sort of like shooting star, but I don't feel majestic or special. I just feel like I'm going from one place to another, and I don't really have a stopping point. I'm just going. I look at the planet, and there's a big sort of gray area around the whole planet Earth. Big gray area. It doesn't necessarily represent pollution. It's almost like in the law, things are black and white unless there is a gray area. The whole planet is a gray area, okay? And I'm just a comet, sort of shooting star, just going across and seeing all this gray area around the planet. Somehow represents the heart. Sort of a lack of joy, a lack of celebration. Almost like energetically, we need to start working with black and white again. We have to start working with the concept of right and wrong, black and white. There's no gray area when it comes to right and wrong. When I say that, there's this like crazy ripple that never ends. And it just keeps talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. Like I hit that channel on the TV that's all static. And it just keeps talking. It keeps explaining its way through. Explaining, talking. And so it's never about black and white. It's about all the other thousands of reasons why it isn't black and white. And why you can't just sit there and try to create black and white. Right and wrong, yes and no. It's interesting because there's a gray area when it's convenient. When black and white is inconvenient, then there's a gray area. For who, though? Like, I'm willing to acknowledge that I've made mistakes, if I want to even call them that. Because I like to embrace my life as an extraordinary learning experience, and there aren't any mistakes in a learning experience, especially if I can say, wow, I'm seeing differently, I want to try it out different. And I have the ability to apologize, I have the ability to change, and I have the ability to love myself. And there's no mistake in any of this, there's just growth to be had, and that's a beautiful thing, it's a thing of love, you know? But if you're avoiding taking ownership, if you're avoiding growth, you're going to want to create a lot of gray areas. You're going to want to say black and white isn't so easy. This is the next scene, and I feel like this scene is forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever of a conversation that never ends, and it's very boring to me. And it remains forever. And I should just listen to it, like listening to that channel with all the static, and just let it be like this, because that's fine. It creates illness. So as the shooting star, I would like to feel a little bit more heavenly, a little bit more wise, a little bit more opinionated, but I'm just a thing in the sky going somewhere. And so I leave that shooting star and I go into the gray area. And the gray area is smoke for the mind. And I see there's all this like cigarettes and then exhale. It's just like a smoky room. And there's a lot that are exhaling smoke, and it's smoke for the mind. So the mind is digesting toxicity. And when the mind digests toxicity, it's a breakdown of mental balance, breakdown of sanity, you know? It makes things so confusing And we don't know where we stand. We don't know what's going on with the world. We don't know. It's just so confusing. And then we work with doubt, like the student in the classroom. When the writing is on the wall, we need to acknowledge it. We need to see it, acknowledge it for what it is. And we have to be firm in what we know, no matter what anybody else says. Because when it comes to things being truly black and white, there are definite things in life that are black and white. If you go outside and it's -40 and you're not wearing a coat, you're going to freeze to death. Black and white. There's no gray area. Like, well, maybe I'll freeze to death. Maybe I'll find the means to get some wood and build a fire. And maybe I brought my lighter, or maybe I can put some sticks together. It's just like, okay, that's just a stupid conversation. Let's keep it simple. It's -40. You wear a coat, you don't wear a coat, you're probably going to die. It's like, if I even take out the word probably, I'm still on the right track, you know? And so things are really black and white. What's going to improve the livelihoods of people's mental balance, emotional balance? What brings out the best in society? Or what destroys society? I guarantee you we could write down a list of 10 things that would better society or 10 things that would destroy society. And then if we compiled it all together and had 50,000 people answer, and we could probably find that on average 5 of the answers on both sides were often spoken, you know? 45,000 of us actually said the same things. So we kind of know yes, no, black, white. It's a lot easier than gray area would like to allow us to take ownership of knowing, right? Man, this is like major brain fog. Brain fog. Okay. So we're looking at the images, we're translating the meaning, but there's more to just this perspective. There's actually energy healing here for your mind, to give your mind clarity, to give you permission to take ownership of what you know is right and wrong, and to get to feel at peace living with that. Gain mental clarity. So it's forever and ever and ever in the gray area. It's really hard to get to planet Earth. It's like planet Earth is transforming into the gray area. So reality is becoming a smear. Then reality, when it becomes a blur or a smear, nothing is clear, right? It's only as clear as we could imagine it to be. It's just a smear. It's a gray area. And so what are you then? A gray area. You are a smear. You are a blur. And I'm just a smear, just a blur. I think it's a good question. Is everything like this? Or is it the idea or the illusion that things are like this? Are we as individuals like this? Is the collective like this? Is truly the earth going through a transformation and right now it's blurry? And so we're going through a natural paralleled phase where things just are kind of Looney Tunes, you know? The sanity versus the insanity. And so when it's blurry, it's like an insane world. It's an insane life. It's hard to find the ground that we stand on when we exist in the blur, you know? And I know who I am, and I'm not blurring myself. And I'm talking to myself, and I'm asking questions, and I'm embracing life. But they show me this just like a blur, okay? And it's interesting because, again, there's a positive sense to it all. Like, even if I were to say, on some level, the truth is it's all becoming a blur, it doesn't matter because I'm going to take ownership of what it all means to me. And if I have to trick my mind or I have to trick myself into existing in a place of peace, if I have to try, you know what I'm talking about? Where you're struggling, but you have to constantly talk to yourself and keep yourself going day after day after day. It's this like exhausting process where you can't just be at peace. You have to try to be at peace, okay? So when you find methods that really work, I'm willing to trick myself into those methods. And I don't really feel like it's a trick because it's something that I want and it's something that I'm choosing to believe in. And if I choose to believe in it, then I know what I need to be in each and every situation, but I also know I need to bring inner peace to the table. And that's not going to be a blur. I'm not going to choose to let that be a blur. You know about this picture, the blur? It's weird. It's almost like it's giving you permission to be okay with not knowing everything perfectly. So is it becoming blurry and hard to see, or is it okay if you can't see it all clearly? And is it both? Again, it's sort of bringing out the inner peace. It definitely feels like this whole experience, the whole human race, everything on the planet is going through a rebirth phase. So when it goes through a rebirth phase, it has to go through a phase of decay. And so when decay sets in, we have to go through a death. And death is something we all resist. Not maybe mentally, but maybe physically, maybe emotionally and mentally, maybe spiritually. But it's something that's hard because you have to die in order to become reborn as the next sense of self. And so if we're going through a doorway of decay, it's going to create a lot of challenge. And so you need some inner peace, you need some meditation, you need some ways to sort of trick yourself into working through this with less chaos, less of the inhale and exhale of the splinters. It makes you more powerful, right? And so in seeing that blur, it's sort of like, thank you for letting it be blurry and giving me permission to say, I don't really know what I'm looking at here. I don't really know how to see it clearly, but I'm going to work with what my needs are, and I'm going to do the best that I can. You know? And what's interesting is what's the real, like, if you feel flexible and then now you're starting to feel rigid and you're noticing, maybe you're more bitter, maybe you're just feeling just like you can't take it anymore. Maybe, you know, a lot of different ways that we can work through hard times, right? And how it makes us feel rigid. So you have to do the ultimate exhale and let go of all of that energy that causes you to stiffen up mentally, emotionally, physically. And you got to inhale the energies that help you relax a little bit more. Help you feel like, you know what, this life is an adventure. And I'm going to welcome destiny to surprise me. Whether I like it or I don't like it, it doesn't matter because it's all an adventure and I enjoy adventures. And I'm peaceful today in this process of adventure. And I'm going to trust that, you know what, this is all the divine time. I've done everything I can do. And the rest of it is in the hands of whatever else. No need to worry. No need to be angry. No need to feel like, oh, someone screwed up or someone, whatever. It doesn't matter. They did everything right, and I've done everything right. And this whole process, it's been a blur, it's been weird, but you know what? I've done the best I can with it. In the gray area of our society. And this gray, decaying transformation of planet Earth into something, who knows what's the new thing. All right. Is there anything else in the midst of all of this? Anything else? Big hug for everybody. Big hug for planet Earth. Big hug for the stars. Big hug for our ancestors. Big hug for our brothers and sisters, every single place. On this planet, off this planet, interdimensionally. Everyone, everywhere. Gratitude for all souls. Gratitude and empowerment for all souls. I'm choosing to see that everything in this world is beautiful and that there's light within all things, and this is a beautiful adventure. And I'm grateful for it. You know, there's a lot of people going through a lot harder things, but I'm going to send them love, and I'm going to see that they're taken care of and that they're ready for this challenge. And that they're an amazing part of this extraordinary library of learning here. And I hug them too. Because when I'm going through hard times and they're not, I would want them to be happy. And maybe they would feel inspired to hug me. You know? So that's the best I can do. It's the best I can do for you and for me and for all others. All right. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this world with me. Thank you for watching and sharing your thoughts and feelings, your kind comments. All right. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.